Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today we're back with another Dying Light video. And this time, we are gonna talk about Brecken. What happened to Brecken? Where is he exactly? Is he still alive? All these questions have been unanswered till now, and today, I'm letting the Dying Light community decide the fate of Brecken. And trust me, the community has some really crazy theories about Brecken. You see that? So I gave you guys more than a week to come up with a really awesome theory about what happened to Brecken, and look at this. This is what some of you guys came up with. Brecken is in my stash. I have proof. He's probably breaking TVs now. He's punching others' television in town. TVs be aware, Brecken is here. Now the most famous theory. He's dead. 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 He joined BTS. Wait, what the fuck? No, wait, no. He's dead. I ate him. Probably just living along on top of a mountain in the countryside being happy. Excuse me, he's not Thanos. Well, these theories were crazy ones. Now let's look at some good ones. Now look at this theory from Sorok27. We firstly meet Brecken after preparing the traps for the night mission. I hope it's still remembering it correctly. Yeah, you're right. And basically every time we meet up with him, something has gone terribly wrong. True. That failed night mission, the outbreak at the 18th floor, Raheem dead, etc, etc. And every time he is very emotional. True. I mean, he goes through a lot of shit. That's why he's emotional. The last time we see him on the boat when we wake up after a seizure, in my opinion, there are two possible outcomes. One, Brecken turned and had to be killed because at this point, there was such a shortage of antizin that Brecken gave his to treat other survivors, because we learn that he seems to care for people more than himself. That is true. What I think is most likely and realistic, in my opinion, he simply left without telling anyone, because he couldn't deal with the responsibility he has with the survivors of the tower. As he said, he's a parkour instructor, not a leader. It's possible that he couldn't deal with the permanent guilt after losing so many people. I think it's unlikely that he simply died from his head injury, because Lena took care of him. She immediately knew what type of medication he needed, and the pile of different pills we pick up from Ghazi looks small, but there can be 100 pills in one small package, depending on the strength of the medication. So I think he left because of self-doubt. Sorry for the long comment. Hey, that's a really good theory. Being honest with you, you did miss some points here and there, but you almost got it right. I'll explain at the end of the video when I share my theory. Next theory is from Meshman, who says, either way, Brecken is dead. In the following, Crane head out to find antizin because there was none left in the city. Actually, he didn't went out for the antizin in the following. He went out to see the mother, some mother performing some ritual that would stop zombie from attacking you. The zombies don't attack you. That's what he went to see there. Like, what the hell is that mist? He didn't go there for the antizin. Either way, Crane dies, leading to every infected person, including Brecken, to die 2 days later. Now this is if Brecken was bitten, which seems so, but if he isn't, it wouldn't change, as the GRE made sure no one leaves Iran, as well as the Ministry of Defense. True. Even if Brecken was to go through the tunnel Esgy went through to get to Old Town, he would still end up in the following, the place where the most dangerous infected remains, the Night Hunter, aka Crane. Edit. Although considering the rest of the world is infected, it would have to mean Crane didn't nuke the country, as the disease would 100% be annihilated. So in theory, Brecken may have escaped to the following, called for extraction due to the world knowing there are survivors. Not have been bitten, but the virus may have mutated to the airborne and spread by Brecken. Why airborne? Because the devs said everyone is infected in Dying Light 2. The only explanation to not needing antizin to survive is that the infection had to be mutated and thus altered the way it is spread and takes over its host. Now, being if the subject remains in the dark zone, this could be why different infected are present in Dying Light 2 as well. It does make a lot of sense. So basically he's saying Brecken died. Alright, let's look at another theory. This theory is from Platonic Blizzard, who says the outbreak in the Brecken Towers left him no choice. He had to leave with Dr. Lena with few survivors left. Following the events of Dying Light the following, Brecken was left with few survivors. He went for Kyle Crane, who had now turned into Night Hunter. Brecken couldn't find him. he went somewhere else, and during the journey, he taught parkour moves to capable ones. He reached the last city and died in some heroic way and became a legend, and I think there will be an achievement side quest related to him. Wow. Short and simple, right on the point. And bro, we share almost similar theory, and I can see that theory happening for real. Now looking at another theory, this one is from Arkisman Mitra. He writes, not considering what Techland said, no characters are returning from Dying Light 1, let's assume they're lying for all the good reasons, maybe. First, Brecken is one of the Night Runners, but he has to be old, so maybe a hands-off approach. Or maybe he's being held captive by the Renegades or the Peacekeepers because he was good at getting capped by the enemy, like we saw in the Dying Light 1. Yep. Or maybe he comes in a side mission, or maybe as a human boss fight considering he lost his cool and became abandoned. Or maybe he's the leader of the black market for the water. Well, there's a lot of maybe here, and maybe you're right, and maybe you have a point. Brecken can really be a Night Runner, and I agree Techland can lie about Dying Light characters returning in Dying Light 2. Like if that really happens, then it's a big surprise, so Techland won't ruin that by saying, yeah, this is happening. Obviously they will deny. And to be honest with you, you do have some points I'm gonna mention in my theory. Now, the next theory is from K021, who writes, I have a theory. Imagine that Brecken would have managed to get out of Haran, be in the town of Dying Light 2. Meet a woman, and then with the woman he has a child. So he had a child named Caldwell. Now the reason why he doesn't have the same name is because Brecken would have wanted to change his life after leaving Haran. Then he would have changed his name to Caldwell. It would have made sense because Aiden says his father taught him the basics of survival. So he's trying to say Brecken would be the best guy to have taught him all the basics of parkour and etc. So what do you say? Well, you have a lot of grammar mistakes, but I understand your point. You are literally on point, and I love the theory. Now, I'm not sure about him having kids. Maybe those kids lost their parents and Brecken adopted them. Now, that is possible. Anyways, everyone, thank you so much for posting all these theories. I have read it all, and there are so many more theories you guys have posted, and yeah, I enjoyed every single one of them. So you guys can also go through the post in my community section and read all the theories. Some are funny and some are just awesome. So thank you community, and now I'm gonna share my theory. Harris Brecken, a parkour instructor, a guy who cared for everyone and wanted to help people. He trained people that helped them survive this outbreak. He was a very strong and important character in the game, but he disappeared suddenly and the story gave us almost zero clue as to what happened to him. But looking at some of the events and some actions of Brecken, I have come up with a theory. Now the last time we saw Brecken was when Crane suffered from seizures after escaping from the arena. Crane woke up near a fisherman's base and saw Brecken, and they had a few conversations and then he was gone. Since he was gone, the tower was still being run by the other survivors and leaders. Lena was taking care of people. We know the tower survived, but not for long, since GRE was not sending antizen drops. That would really make the situation bad. How I know the tower survived? Dying Light Bad Blood. There you go, you can see the tower that has actually been built now. Now looking at what happened in the countryside, there are many questions. Where is Brecken? Is he dead or alive, infected or turned? Well, you'll be surprised to know that that was not the last time you heard from Brecken. Brecken contacted Crane multiple times before Crane left for Old Town. And Brecken was mentioned a lot of times during a lot of side quests. If you guys remember, during a side quest, it was revealed that the army sinks any boat that tries to leave the quarantine zone. Yes, the GRE and the Ministry of Defense locked everyone in, and anyone who tries to escape will be killed. So since Brecken was last spotted on Ferry Station, which later on was gone, and during a conversation with Brecken, we found out that these guys had a plan to escape Haran. So is it safe to assume that ferry ship actually sank and Brecken was killed during that? Well, that's quite boring. You know what, during another side quest, it was revealed that the government would store people in some secret quarantine spaces if you are infected or you try to escape the Haran. So is it possible that Brecken has been quarantined? I mean, that sounds boring too. Now here's the whole theory. What if they actually went out of Haran? Well, we know Brecken won't be the first one to go out of Haran or the countryside, because Tolga and Fatin successfully broke the barrier and went to the other side, where they found an arena. They survived and went to the other side. So now Brecken escaped. They all went looking for survivors, and they came across this huge city, the place where Dying Light 2 is located. Brecken and the other people on the boat formed a group called Night Runners, and Brecken trained everyone and formed this group. Now, during one of the missions, Brecken rescues these kids who would have been less than 5 years old by then. Turns out these two kids were Aiden and Mia. Brecken would treat them like his own kids and would train them. As mentioned in the trailer, Aiden was trained by his father, so this will make sense. Now, unfortunately, they got raided. They got raided by the GRE team, and they took the kids, and Brecken was not there to help them because he was out on a mission. The majority of Night Runners were killed that day in the action, and now since Brecken returned with few people, he went to rescue Aiden and Mia. The place where GRE took them was probably this building, which was functional during that time, and they were doing experiments on Aiden and Mia. Maybe they were looking for a cure or some mutation, or were trying to make a Winter Soldier kind of thing. Now, since the GRE building was guarded from everywhere and they had rifles, it was not easy to enter the building. So it probably took them few days or weeks before they entered the building. Brecken actually used explosives to break in, which caused fire, and everyone started running for their life. Brecken fought his way through GRE soldiers and went through fire to save Aiden and Mia. But he could only find Aiden because Mia was taken for experiment by the soldiers. Brecken only saw Aiden. Brecken took Aiden out safely and told him never to forget who he is and where he comes from, and went back in looking for Mia. But he couldn't actually go further because of the fire, and while that was happening, these GRE soldiers returned and took Aiden. Brecken saw it and came to rescue, but was killed by the soldiers instantly since they had rifles. Brecken died as a hero, and now the soldiers took Aiden out of the city since the city was no longer a safe place. Now Mia was left all alone. She could be dead, but we all know that's not happening, and Mia could still be alive. Someone must have rescued her. Now Aiden will be looking for her 15 years later when he returns to the city. Now when he returns to the city, he doesn't know anyone because he was a kid, right? So he wouldn't recognize anyone. But everyone recognizes Brecken in the city. Brecken, the leader of the Night Runners. This would explain why Night Runners are extinct and gone in Dying Light 2, because majority of them died, and that's why the whole group was broken.
Same nightmare haunts me every night. I'm locked up with other kids. I don't know what he did to me, but he did it every day. Over and over. Looking for something he couldn't find. The worst part was that he did the same to my sister. I'll never forget her scream when they separated us. What could I do? They had rifles, and we were 5 years old. And there was a fire, explosions, chaos. I got away. Soldiers took me out of the city, but my sister stayed there. My Mia. I left her.
So yeah, that is it. That's most likely the fate of Brecken and how he became the hero and how the Night Runners came into play and everything. So that was the theory, and it was an awesome one. You know what, if I had to give you a simple version of any theory, I would say Crane bombing the countryside, killing everyone, including Brecken. Anyways, I was joking. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think about the theory, about my theory, and about the others' theory posted by the community. Until then, stay safe, and don't forget to stay human.